It's time. Let's call to order the Planning Committee meeting for Wednesday, February 5th, 2014. I'm not David Durant. He'll be here soon. The rest of us are here. Public comment. Are there any members of the audience that wish to address us on anything not on the agenda today? Tap open, tap close. I don't see any hands. Pay you $5. No. Approval of the minutes for December 4th.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion, Kevin. Second, Karen. We're going to try it different. Go first names. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Seeing none. Next item on the agenda is consent calendar, general routine in nature, act upon in single motion. Anyone in the audience? Okay, it's moved. Nobody wants to pull one, I gather. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Before we move on, did anybody raise a hand? I saw his hand move. Did you want to talk to anything? Okay. So getting tricky back there.
I just want to say, Mr. Chairman, that Dennis Tagashira from the city of Hercules is in the audience, and he's actually retired, but he's come back to help the city of Hercules through some staffing changes.
Good. Well, it's standard procedure that when you come to this first meeting, you have to give a 20-minute speech. So we will hold yours over to the regular meeting of CCTA. Next item on agenda, regular item, release of projection 2013. Matt Kelly.
Thank you, Chair Hudson, committee members.
Howard.
Good evening. ABAG has just this last January released its latest series of land use forecasts, also known as projections. This is projections 2013. They're based on land use assumptions used in the adopted regional transportation plan, known as Plan Bay Area, and were the backbone of the sustainable community strategy. Normally, ABAG adopts a new projection series every 2 years. However, this is the first adopted projections since 2008, when P2009 was issued. They will go to a 4-year projection series from now on. ABAG released an interim set of projections in 2011 known as Current Regional Plans, which was used in the development of the Sustainable Community Strategy and the RTP. Current regional plans were used in the decennial update of the Contra Costa Countywide Travel Demand Model, as they were the most recent locally reviewed forecast available during the model update, and MTC does require that CMAs use the latest available forecasts for their modeling efforts. Projection land use allocations have been policy-based since back in the P2003 series, back in Focus days. And starting with this series, Projections 2013, they're one of the levers being used to reach the greenhouse gas reduction targets required under SB 375 and the SCS. We are sharing the new households and employment forecasts from P2013 with you today. We've provided a comparison between current regional plans and P2013 at the jurisdictional and sub-regional levels. And just because the two projection series start with a different base, the 2010 one is census corrected, one isn't. The focus should be on the growth forecast between 2010 and 2040, and those are found in the charts on page 4.4 and 4.5 in your packet. And as you can see, the difference between the two set of projections is that the growth in households is pretty much tempered overall, which reflects the known differences between local general plan build-outs and the Plan Bay Area goals to locate new housing in the urban core of the Bay Area. Jobs are kind of a mixed bag, with some cities getting less than they've planned for, and some, namely Walnut Creek, forecast to receive many more. La Miranda is also forecast to receive more jobs, not a lot, but more overall, and presumably that's because of their location along the BART line. We've brought this to you tonight as information, but our plan is to work through the TCC to conduct a local review of these land use allocations, and then use that locally reviewed forecast to incorporate into the countywide travel demand forecasting model. This will be done in time to evaluate the 2014 countywide transportation plan update, and will also be used in any future traffic impact reports, or modeling of major transportation projects in the county. That's my report. I can take any questions.
Okay. Comments or questions? It's for information only. I'll second that. Anybody object to it? Moving on, since you brought up the CTP update, who's got that? Is that Martin?
Yes, sir.
Good segue, 5.0.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to brief you and the committee on the status of the 2014 CTP update. We have made significant progress in a number of areas, and we want to tell you about the progress we've made on vision, goals, and strategies, the work we're doing on the action plans, and also the public outreach and the environmental review process. So just as a reminder, we are doing a financially unconstrained project list for the countywide plan. That means as of today, we have about $12 billion in projects identified in the countywide plan. As part of this 2014 CTP, we want to move towards a more financially constrained project list, down from $12 billion to $5 billion, and then from $5 billion to $2.5 billion. $2.5 billion project list equates to something that we can work with as far as telling MTC what we want in terms of new projects for the 2017 RTP, and also as an advocacy document should we wish to explore opportunities for new funding sources. So a big part of the 2014 CTP is the front piece, where we talk about the vision, goals, and strategies. And this is where the authority articulates its themes and aims that it wishes to pursue. So last October, we circulated some proposed changes. We started with the 2009 vision, goals, and strategies, and we had some changes. Those are shown on page 5.3 of your packet. The vision stays the same as it was. We asked the regional committees whether or not they'd be interested in inserting the word sustainable into the vision so that we have a balanced, safe, sustainable, and efficient transportation network. And then we also asked them about some changes to the goals as shown on page 5.3 and 5.4. The reception we got letters from TransPAC and WICTAC, and those are in your packet. We also just today received a letter from SWAT. SWAT discussed this at their November meeting, but they didn't send us a letter on it, so we just got that today, and that letter is on your dais. So the inserting the word sustainable, let's do that first. That didn't go over so well at the regional committee levels, and we heard essentially from SWAT back when they reviewed the sustainability paper that they didn't want the authority to lose track of its core mission, and that we should kind of go sustainable light. And I think if we look at the comments from TransPAC and WICTAC probably leans more towards making it sustainable, and TransPAC's probably in the middle. But based upon the feedback we've received, we're suggesting in the vision essentially to keep it as it was. On page 5.5, we show you the proposed changes to the vision from the 2009 plan. We don't think the word sustainable is going to fly. We do want to incorporate WICTAC's comment, and WICTAC was concerned about equity and distributing benefits to everyone, all people and areas of the county. So the vision, therefore, would have a very small amendment, and that would be, as shown on page 5.5 of your packet, to change the word "the" to "all," so that we have a healthy environment and strong economy to benefit all people in areas of Contra Costa through the Transportation Network Cooperative Planning and Growth Management. Regarding the goals, we received positive feedback on the changes to the goals, and we're recommending that you include those. The emphasis on highways was deleted when we sent this out to the regional committees. And then there was a request that we return emphasis to all modes of travel. So the first goal now would be support the efficient and reliable movement of people and goods using all available travel modes. Second goal, manage growth to sustain Contra Costa's economy, remains the same. SWAT has asked in their letter today to change it to manage the impacts of growth. Staff would recommend against using the term impacts in a broad goal like this, and just leave it as manage growth to sustain Contra Costa's economy. Expand safe, convenient, and affordable alternatives to the single occupant vehicle remains unchanged. And then maintain the transportation system. Here again, SWAT has requested that we say maintain and improve the transportation system, but that would really change the message of this goal, since we're talking about improvements and expansion elsewhere in the goal. So we recommend there again sticking with maintain the transportation system. And then the fifth goal, which is a new one that we sent out in October for review, continue to invest wisely to maximize the benefits of available funding. That seems to have been broadly accepted, and so we would recommend that we keep that as a new fifth goal. So on page 5.5, what you see are the essentially amendments to what was sent out in October, and we're proposing to carry this forward into the draft countywide transportation plan. So I'd stop there and ask if you have any question on the vision and goals.
I was going to have to filibuster if you didn't come in. Question on number, what are we on, 5 or 6? 5. Questions, sustainable? I wonder at some point if we're not going to have to take that head on and decide for ourselves what sustainable means. I find it a little hard to duck it when we have members on the Air District. I mean, the president of ABAG, and we're ducking sustainable for the obvious reasons we've been talking about. In fact, I'm surprised you didn't get the word resilient in there, because it has been their mantra for the last year. That has been part of their vision out of ABAG. But you know, these things drive me nuts, because if I could wordsmith, we wouldn't need Dave to get here tonight, or Don Tatson, or you know, some of these people that actually look at these things and have a little bit more. I'm really sucking somebody into this conversation, but she's busy on something else. But I mean, there are other people that want to change a word or two, and sometimes I think we spend a month on a word or two, and I don't know if we've actually defined what that word is or what we're trying to do. So what I'm asking is, if we're going to make a debate about sustainable, and I'll bet you it's not dead yet. Is it? See, they both don't care. I got them trained so to do it so fast, they're not going to listen to what I say. If the sustainable comes back, we try and put down in some kind of verbiage of what we're thinking sustainable is.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I could respond, or Mr. Vice Chairman, I'm sorry, switch over.
Go ahead.
So thank you. If I may speak, Mr. Chairman. So thank you. The term sustainable, it was, WCTAC was very supportive of including that term in the vision, along with greater transit emphasis and further ties to the Plan Bay Area. And so as staff, we have to balance that with what we heard from Central County and from Transpac. So what we heard from Transpac, I think, is that sustainability, the word sustainable it's kind of a lightning rod because of the lack of a clear definition, and it means different things to different stakeholders. And so what we're recommending at this time is leave it out. We will address it throughout the document. We might use different terms. We might use the term as you just mentioned, and we will be able to address it throughout the plan, but we're suggesting that we leave it out of the vision.
Let me add the last 2 cents, and then I'm turning it over to our illustrious chair of this august body.
Dear Lord.
One of the reasons I brought it because it mentioned Transpac, and I'm just saying, for consistency on what you're doing, and I'm not Transpac, and we've got two people here who can take care of it. But in reading your, was it transit, mobility, not the management, I can't remember the names of it anymore, but for Transpac with County Connection, it's kind of touched on throughout that thick little document, and I'm wondering if there isn't some way or something. But that's it. I'm just throwing it out for Transpac again. I didn't see any great burning, yearning need for SWAT to change their direction on it. And sometimes it's a lot easier when you get too closely aligned. I just make sure we're aligned with Transpac before Transplan chimes in and says, no, Dave, you're completely off. But it's hard to leave sustainability, the word, out of anything anymore. It has to do with transportation. I mean, they eliminated transportation and kept sustainability in the bill. That's it. That's. Is there any action, or what are we doing?
Anybody else have comments? Have we heard from the public on this?
No.
Okay. Anybody else have questions? Let's start there. Okay. Anybody in the public want to comment on this item?
So, Mr. Chairman, we're just doing we're just on the first part of this item, which is the vision, and we have other parts.
The important part.
Yeah, the important part.
Okay.
Vision and goals. And we have a few more others that we want to go through.
Excellent.
But we wanted to have a discussion of just the vision and goals first to make sure that the Planning Committee is comfortable with the proposals as shown on page 5.5, and we'll forward this to the authority. And when we issue the countywide plan, this is what you'll see in the draft plan.
Yeah, to Dave's comment, I think if we could ever come to an agreed upon definition of sustainable for this body, meaning the board itself, I don't suspect there'd be a whole lot of pain around the use of the word sustainable, though there were some strong feelings about it at Transpac. So I think if there is an interest in having the word in there, we've got to define it for ourselves as in the context of the document, and then maybe we get there. But otherwise, as our letter says, I think it's just subject to too many misinterpretations without clarity.
It's good. Let's goal them and go for 3.
Okay, next item.
Okay, so the next item is to update you on the progress on the action plans for routes of regional significance. And the action plans are our vehicle for implementing the cooperative multi-jurisdictional planning process called for in Measure J. As all of you know, the action plans include overarching goals that articulate the authority's vision, a designated network of routes of regional significance, and our favorite acronym, MTSO's, multimodal traffic.
It's just trying to hurt us tonight.
Multimodal transportation service objectives. There's a typo in here. And a set of actions that the local jurisdictions will undertake to achieve the objectives. Who wrote that? So the action plans initially were to be completed in preliminary draft form by the end of 2013, and that schedule has slipped a bit. We're into March now for release of those first action plans, and there are a number of reasons for that. One is in TVTC, they only meet quarterly, and they've missed a meeting or two, so we've had some difficulty moving the action plan along in the Tri-Valley. And that action plan includes the Alameda jurisdictions of Dublin, Livermore, and Pleasanton, as well as Danville and San Ramon. We've had long discussions about intra-regional routes and interjurisdictional routes, and TVTC is adding what they're calling intra-regional routes, which is a lower tier of regional routes, and then La Miranda is adding interjurisdictional routes, which are still non-regional routes, but there would be requirements for consultation on proposed changes to any of the routes connecting the 3 cities in La Miranda. We have a new emphasis on multimodal mobility and incorporating complete streets, so consequently we've seen calls for example, for BART to be included as a route of regional significance, for the Lafayette-Moraga Trail to be added. In TVTC, they want to add the Iron Horse Trail as a route of regional significance. And, if staff are okay with that, we'll let the action plan develop and we'll let it circulate for comments, but we can see that these multimodal facilities help us with having a more casting a broader net in terms of transportation and different modes. So there is a detailed schedule in your packet, and it's shown on page 512 of the 5 action plans that we're working on. Our consultant, DKS, is working on this along with Farron Piers and CH2M Hill. And so at this point, we expect to have all of the action plans ready for incorporation into the countywide plan between March and May. And that is still a fairly optimistic schedule. But we've gotten a couple of them already out as draft form for local review. In West County and East County, we've managed to release the plans for local review, and then from there we go to a second draft that has broader review. So that's where we stand with the action plans, and we'll continue to work closely with the regional committees, and you'll see these come across your dais when you attend your RTPC meetings.
I was just going to say, that's interesting, the idea of putting the Iron Horse Trail in as a route of regional significance. I actually like that a lot. But what I was thinking is, if we're going to do that, we should do that probably across the whole county. So, for example, in West County, that would mean the Bay Trail and the Ohlone Greenway, too. But I do like the idea of doing that. I just think we want to make sure that we're doing a parallel thing in all the different sections of the county.
Staying on the same theme, I'm thinking the same way. In particular, any trail near San Pablo Avenue, because we're looking at corridors for grant funding, and it's getting mentioned more and more. But the Iron Horse Trail, when they first brought it up, I think, what are you doing? And then I realized that there's going to be a very strong pull for who can get the second program or the third program after the pilot bike share program. And I've been pushing the Iron Horse Trail, which makes a lot of sense, and I can understand now why it was probably Alameda that wanted the Iron Horse Trail to go in, because there's some leadership over there that didn't like the idea of sharing the Iron Horse Trail bike sharing money with Contra Costa. I'll just leave it at that. But I don't know what Transpac has done on it, but I would take a real serious look at something jointly between the two RTPCs, because that's the kind of flag that goes up that the ABAGs and the air districts are looking at.
Other thoughts on this, Ash? Nope.
What action you need, Martin?
Yep.
Go for it.
What do you need from us, Martin, on this?
If you have any direction, we'd be happy to hear from you, but we're proceeding based upon the schedule that's in your packet.
Okay.
And we're within budget. That's the
So I have a question. On the suggestion that I just made that we ought to have a parallel process in all of them, what will we actually see going forward so that regarding any of that?
What will happen is the Tri-Valley Action Plan will be circulated, and when West County sees it, WCTAC has actually approved their preliminary draft to go out to the local jurisdictions. So when you see that, and we ask that you bring it to your councils and tell them about it, that could be a comment from the WCTAC jurisdictions that you wish to add the trail facilities as routes of regional significance. We're still not sure how that fits into the whole concept because it is a route. In the past, we've looked at mostly at surface streets and freeways, arterials carry motorized vehicles as routes of regional significance, and then we've said to achieve a goal of increased pedestrian and bicycle modal share, let's improve those facilities. Now we're saying that facility is a route of regional significance, and we could have individual objectives for it. But so when you see your West County draft action plan, which WCTAC just approved, come around, then you should comment to that effect, and it'll be incorporated into the draft, which is expected for release in March.
Okay, thank you.
So moving on to the public
We can
outreach.
move to that
No,
item?
we're still in the same. We're still in the
Okay,
same.
Okay.
We're still on action plans?
Yep.
Okay. We can Well,
No, I think we're done with action plans. We're moving on to the
moving on.
next paragraph
right,
in,
thank
in
you,
the
that's what I
document.
thought we were doing.
Yep.
So,
Public outreach.
Regarding the public outreach effort, we have the Gray Bowen team on board, and they're doing stakeholder outreach and polling. We are going to have a major discussion item at the February 19th authority meeting, and we will present to you then the polling results. They're just finishing up with the polling. They have some raw data, and they need to compile it. And then in parallel, our consultant, Diane Baccia, is developing a CTP brochure that I'm working with Lindsay Willis on, and we're working together with the consultants and with the communications team with Gray Bowen to develop something that we can release in front of the draft countywide plan as a brochure, as a web page to kind of launch the 2014 CTP. So all of that is on track.
Okay. Questions, comments? None? Environmental review?
All right, environmental review, we have our consultant on board, Lampier Gregory, and we're preparing to release the notice of preparation in February, and we will start with the environmental review with the goal to release the draft EIR for the CTP in June. And then we have schedule. There's a new schedule in your packet, and it's on page 513. The big change here is, whereas previously we thought we would be able to release the draft CTP in April, that's slipped 2 months, and we're into a June release. We hope to still adopt the 2014 CTP in 2014, but it's getting tight, and so we expect to be finished in December with a final EIR and a CTP, and it's still 2014, and we hope it doesn't go into 2015. Or if it does, we'll still call it the 2014 CTP. It's backdated.
Bring it to planning, we'll blow it through.
All right.
Before I comment on that, does anybody else want to? Okay. 2 questions on that one. What's caused the slip to June, and what do we do to avoid slipping it into 2015?
Well, the primary reason for the slip has been that it's taken longer than anticipated to develop the action plans, and Transpac is actually the farthest behind on the schedule.
So the short answer there was Transpac is sucking and needs to get on the ball. Okay, excellent. The Transpac chair will get that. Yeah. No, it's important to have clarity. So by when do you need action by Transpac?
Won't do that again.
Oh,
We
sure
are we are keeping our fingers crossed that in accordance with the schedule on 5/12, the Transpac will release a draft action plan on March 13th, 2014. That's what we're keeping our fingers crossed
that's
for.
good.
And if we can do that, we will stay on schedule.
Okay, Karen will make sure that happens.
She who can never be chair.
I know. I'm the soon outgoing chair of Transpac, so that makes it easy. At our next meeting, I passed the gavel. Okay, and then the end of the year piece. What's happening there that might also cause us to pop over to 2015?
The possibility there is if we run into issues with the environmental document, but we're not anticipating any significant issues. We have encountered them in the past, especially in 2004 when we had an expenditure plan included with the EIR, and we had to do was it a supplemental to the EIR that could delay it. But since this is purely a programmatic document, and we don't anticipate having an expenditure plan attached to it as in terms of a half-cent sales tax renewal, we think we can get through the environmental process smoothly.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Other questions, comments, thoughts? All right. That's it. All right.
That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody out there want to slam Transpac or comment on the other way? No? Okay, good. All right. I would say, so you need a vote?
No, we're good.
No? It's an action item.
Well, we need a vote on the vision and goals. I think that's the one That's the main part about this, and then approval of the
I would say
revised schedule.
Dave's going to make a motion
No,
here.
not with the squat comments there. I'll just sort of,
Okay.
I'll fight you to the bitter end and take my
I move we
lick.
accept the report and direct staff to take the appropriate action if they
Second?
Do you know what that appropriate action
I want
is?
SWAT. I want SWAT.
He just told us.
Okay. So go with the vision goals as identified in the staff report.
Yep.
Okay, that's how we're interpreting the motion in the second.
Yeah, you would be forwarding to the authority the vision and goals as they're shown in the revised vision and goals as shown in the staff report. You'll have another chance to discuss them at the authority meeting. I think this will be a discussion item.
You think? Me too. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All right.
Let it reflect that I did it bitterly.
You did. You
I
did.
fought
He
hard
fought,
for
he's
it.
kicking me under the table now as we speak. Okay. We're good just saying all in favor, right? I always forget which meeting I'm at. Okay, yes, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Kicking and screaming. The vice chair has gone along. All right. Thank you.
Change it. You change it a different.
Moving to item number 6,
Lindsay special.
Lindsay special.
The Lindsay Special. Good evening, Commissioners.
That sounds like a fast-moving train through the Central Valley. Sorry. Good evening, Lindsay.
Hello. As in years past, the authority generally adopts a legislative platform, and so I'm bringing before you this year both a state and a federal legislative platform for the authority board to review and approve. These are designed to be kind of a general set of principles. By purpose, it's supposed to be very broad because as in years past, every individual action or stance on a specific bill will come before the authority board for your approval. This is really a set of guidelines to guide not only staff, but also the folks who advocate on our behalf at both the state and federal levels in terms of where to kind of concentrate their focus. We have kind of put these together in coordination with some of our partners at the regional level. Part of the reason it is so vague is because everybody has a little bit of a different twist on what they'd like to see out of certain bills. So in order to be inclusive, we purposely left this a little broader, and then we can take each item and bill and challenge as it comes on its own merits for the authority board. As you will see, it's focused very heavily on funding, how we obtain it, how we maintain what's already there, trying to find new sources for it. It's also in a little bit of a different format than you may have seen before. We're trying something new, so I'm open to suggestions or comments on that as well. I wasn't planning to necessarily talk through each item. I'm hoping that it's such a wonderful report, it's practically self-explanatory, but I'm happy to answer any questions that
You were doing
might have.
really well until that one. Now you just
I should have known
invited.
better than to say that in
Yeah,
front
you
of a
just
lawyer.
invited,
but, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I'm open to changing some of the wording or answering why some of these are in here.
You
I'm
just
just
did it
trying to
again.
be very accommodating to the commissioners this evening. But perhaps you think it's wonderful as it is and you just want to approve it on to the authority board. I leave it in your hands.
All right, excellent. Ms. Mitchell.
My only comment is, how does this differ from last year's? If it's the same, then I move the item.
It's, well, what's different from last year is there's a federal platform. Last year, there was not a federal platform created. I believe there was one created in 2012, so we're kind of bringing that back. The state platform is not terribly different from last year's. We're getting a little more specific in terms of funding, talking specifically about cap and trade funding versus other types of transportation funding. One of the new items on here is school siting reform, and that's something that the county has asked us to include. It's a big issue for them. We've spoken with them about it, and we think that that relates to the work that we do as well.
And we have had some conversation about that.
Yes, we have. So
Yeah.
then I move the item.
All right. We have a motion.
I'll second it.
We have a second from
I just got
Hudson.
a comment
and
here.
He has a comment as well, Mr.
Yeah,
Hudson.
one of the things that bothers me is the cap and trade, not for the reasons that you'd expect. The cap and trade, amazingly, I keep thinking Karen was still there. Whether any of us were awake is a different story. when they split it up and they start changing the one Bay Area, immediately, well, 25% of the cap and trade is going to go to the communities of concern and this, and not every city in Contra Costa has communities of concern. But I think it is, if this is going to be a lot of money, and it looks like it could be a lot of money, there's going to have to be some outreach, and I don't know where else it's going to come from if not CCTA, because they're not going to get the message to our own cities. I mean, Concord didn't even realize they had a care area. This is, I mean, one of these 6 priority areas in the Bay Area, and they need to start taking advantage of it. So if I have a few people here from Transpac that I'm beating on, it's that, you know,
What
if
we'll
you
do
get it-
is we'll watch this legislation very carefully
Yeah.
and ask that staff bring back anything on cap and trade specifically so we can comment on it.
Cool. That's what I'm getting at, because
I like that.
West County's going to get their share. John is so passive.
So what was that word?
Never mind.
Okay. Passionate is the word you would, yeah.
We have to, when we refer to West County, and say the word John, in a moment, I will explain why you need to use a last name now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this would be that moment. No,
Okay,
I know.
I can-
No,
I
we'll
can do that
we'll come
then.
back to that.
Okay.
No. Okay, any other comment on the issue, goals, and strategies for legislative activity? Okay, I think it's fantastic. We have a motion from Mitchoff. We had a second from Hudson. Further discussion? Anybody out yonder? No? Going once, twice, 3 times? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Nice job. Thank you, Lindsay. Turn and run quickly while the getting's good. All right, item number 7, other business. Is there
I
any?
have some.
She does.
I do,
We have
yes.
an introduction.
I have an introduction.
Roll.
And I guess you can guess what the first name of that person is. We have just hired a new executive director, and his name is John Nemeth, and he's right here. And I'd like to, if I may, and take the indulgence of the chair, ask him to introduce himself.
Okay, well, I think you just stole my thunder, Commissioner.
Good evening, John, and welcome.
Good evening, Commissioners. Again, my name's John Nemeth, and we also have a former employee named John at WICTAC, too. So I hear the name John around a lot, so it does get confusing a little bit. But
It just means we need more Davids also. And never mind.
We've only got 2 here.
Anyway, it's great to be getting started here. I've had the opportunity to, I think, get to know everyone in this dais. So looking forward to working with all of them and getting to know you, and I'll be a fixture here, so you'll be seeing me. And
Great. Where'd you come from?
I came from the Sonoma Marin Area Rail Transit District.
Smart.
So,
Smart. Excellent.
So we have a lot of jokes about smart people.
Yeah.
at agencies, so.
I like it. But you're hearing none from here tonight.
Thank you for
no
that.
smart jokes. Excellent. Great. Welcome. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Look forward to working with you. All right, news clippings and correspondence. You've read any, was there anything from staff under other business?
Mr. Chairman, we actually have just under item 8, correspondence.
Yes.
Direct your attention to a letter that we received from ABAG regarding the City of Orinda's housing element. Congratulations to the City of Orinda for receiving compliance finding from HCD on their housing element. That means now that all of the jurisdictions in Contra Costa are in as far as their approval from the state, and so they are eligible to receive their OBAG funding. There is another hurdle down the road, and that is by January 31st, 2015, all the jurisdictions will have had to update their housing element to the new requirements and also incorporate complete streets into their general plan in order to be eligible for the next cycle of OBAG funding. So, but for now, everyone's in good shape, and we'll monitor the situation as part of our update to our PDA investment and growth strategy. We'll be keeping track of those housing elements for you.
Thank you, sir.
Peter talks a lot.
Peter talks a lot. You have something for us, Peter? Okay, Dave was just tossing you out there as having a comment. What are you trying to win a bet on what time we'd finish tonight?
Well, Peter and Brad have spoken so much tonight, we're late.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order? All right. Thank you very much. We are adjourned. We'll see you all
When we get here.
when we get here March 3rd. Yeah.